Wish that your body could feel this too. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Frank Ocean is known for his smooth, introspective delivery and uniquely emotive vocal tone. His voice floats effortlessly in the mix, blending warmth, texture, and a distinct sense of depth. But beyond his performance, a key part of his sound comes from the way his vocals are processed. Today, we are breaking down Frank Ocean's vocal production from EQ and compression to the effects and techniques that give his voice that atmospheric, intimate feel. And we're gonna build a Frank Ocean style vocal chain using only Waves plugins based on the exact processing techniques shared by one of his engineers, Randy Urbanski. There is a lot to unpack here, and the techniques we're gonna cover can seriously level up your own vocal mixes. So let's dive into the world of Frank Ocean's vocal production. Frank Ocean's vocals have a soft low end, a smooth high end, and a clean mid range that helps them sit perfectly in the mix, never too harsh or muddy, always clear and expressive. In this video, we're gonna go over how to make your vocals sit in the mix like Frank Ocean's and how to build a vocal chain inspired by his sound like this.
Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
So if you wanna build this sound, make sure you stick around till the end. Now, to make this video as accurate as possible, we researched the techniques and plugins used in Frank Ocean's vocal chain. The plugin chain I found comes from Grammy-winning engineer Randy Urbanski, who used to mix for Frank Ocean. While he didn't specify which songs he worked on, he did describe the recording process and the exact plugin chain Frank Ocean uses in detail during an interview. But before we dive into the plugin chain, there are a few key details worth understanding about how Frank Ocean approaches his vocal production. Now, Frank Ocean's vocals are smooth and expressive, often feeling raw yet polished. There is a subtle richness and airiness to his tone, which means EQ, compression, and spatial effects play a major role. However, before we add effects, we need to set up the core processing chain. Frank Ocean has a unique presence in the mix. His vocals don't force their way forward, but they still feel front and center, floating effortlessly above the instrumentation. The challenge here is capturing that clarity and emotional depth while keeping the vocals soft, smooth, and full. With all this in mind, I've chosen a vocal take that more or less fits Frank Ocean's style, subtle, expressive, and a bit atmospheric.
Feel the way that you do when the night is quiet. I'm lost in thoughts, all drifting back to you. Each moment sweet like morning's gentle dew. Wishing that your body could feel this too.
We have a clean vocal take with a bit of texture, making it perfect for this chain. Before we get into the plugin chain Randy used on Frank, I want to show you the actual recording chain they used during the sessions.
Vocal chain of Frank Ocean. Studio B at the Boom Boom Room, the SM7, because he writes as he goes. If we switched over to Final Cut, we'd have the 251 up at all times as well. 1073, CL1B, the Martech MSS10 to ride the line level, into Pro Tools.
Okay, that was a lot of information, let's break it down. They record in Studio B at the Boom Boom Room in California, a high-end studio which suggests the room is professionally treated for optimal sound quality.
Studio B at the Boom Boom Room, the SM7, because he writes as he goes.
According to Randy, the mic they use for scratch recording is the Shure SM7B.
If we switched over to Final Cut, we'd have the 251 up at all times as well.
For the final version, they switch over to the Telefunken 251. Now, in my experience with artists, those scratch recordings might end up in the final record, so it's worth keeping that in mind. The mic goes into the Neve 1073.
1073.
For this, we normally use the Shep 73. With this red knob, we create a subtle preamp heat. This colors the signal to have a warmer tone, but normally at this point, the signal also has some unwanted low frequencies. By subtly cutting lows, we reduce the dynamic range, however, it doesn't offer enough control over the signal. For this, Randy mentioned that they use the CL1B compressor right after the Neve when recording Frank.
1073, CL1B.
To emulate this, we set up the R comp. but it's important to note that we turn opto mode on as the CL1B is an optical compressor. What we know is that Randy doesn't compress more than 5 dB at this point. And he also mentioned an important thing here which helps us set up this compressor.
1073 CL1B, the Martech MSS10 to ride the line level into Pro Tools.
He's using the Martech MSS10 for riding the level, meaning that he's manually adjusting the gain using that preamp in response to large dynamic changes. Therefore, the compressor more than likely has a very small gain reduction. So that's how we set it up. Now, the MSS10 is a very transparent hardware, there is no emulation for it. We can use the output section of the RComp for that in this case.
I'm dreaming of I wanted to come true. I felt my heart begin to race and do. No one else could make me feel the way that you do.
At this point, the signal is optimized for recording, meaning that we don't run into clipping. And it has a light color that we introduced, but it's far from being optimal for the song. So let's get into probably the most interesting part for you, the plugin chain itself. With Frank Ocean, the vocal feels spacious and textured, yet still intimate. In contrast, our vocal sounds nasal, lacks of depth and clarity of Frank Ocean's. To clean up the vocal, Randy uses the Fab filter.
Into Pro Tools, Fab filter.
He didn't specify which EQ. I believe it could have been the Pro Q2 at that time. While he didn't mention any specific settings, I looked into his mixing approach and found that he tends to cut unwanted frequencies at this stage, as most pro engineers do. We have the Waves F6 here, essentially doing the same thing. To have the murky sound removed, I'm cutting more lows and taking out the nasal sound. I've set up a dynamic band. Another thing I've added is this high bend to attenuate some of the harshness, as Randy doesn't mention the use of de-esser.
Can you feel light? Can you feel light? Can you feel light? Wish that your body could feel this too.
Now we have removed most of the disturbing nuances from the vocal, but we still have dynamic issues. To gain more control over the dynamics, Randy uses the RComp.
Fab filter, RComp.
We have the same plugin here. Using a compressor can address the vocal dynamically, but can also bring the vocal forward. This is why I've set it up with a relatively quick attack for an R&B. For a different vocal style, I might set it up differently.
Feel the way that you do. When the night is quiet, I'm lost in thoughts, all drifting back to you. Each moment sweet like morning's gentle dew. Wishing that your body could feel this too.
Okay, we have the vocal under control, but the performance needs a bit of enhancement, excitement, which is extremely important. For that, Randy feeds the signal into the SSL first.
RComp to the SSL.
We have the SSL E channel here, and I know from some of Randy's vocal chain that he likes to boost with this. To my ears, Frank Ocean has a smooth but warm sound. To get a little bit of warmth, I'm boosting back a little those low mids. I'm utilizing the high and high mid section, removing some harshness around 6K and boosting back the extreme highs. Combined with the SSL color, this creates that smooth Frank Ocean type sound.
Can you feel light? Can you feel light? Can you feel light? Wish that your body could feel this too. Can you feel light?
This was the first part of the smooth warm sound. The second part is here.
SSL, the D-verb, line 6 echo farm.
First, we need to add depth to the vocal. Randy uses the D-verb, which is a stock plugin in Pro Tools. Listening to Frank Ocean songs, medium room reverbs characterized by their early reflections are often used, which helps create that warm, intimate sound. I'm using the Manny Marroquin reverb to emulate this sound, set to medium room, removing the extreme lows and reducing the highs. For different songs and parts of the songs, they set it up differently, which I'm gonna give you options for in the preset. But as a core setup, this reflects Frank Ocean's sound. Another effect Randy uses is an echo with the echo farm. I've set up the echo sphere for that, using a slap type delay to thicken up the vocals.
I'm dreaming of I wanted to come true. I felt my heart begin to race and do. No one else could make me feel the way that you do. When the night is quiet, I'm lost in thoughts, all drifting back to you. Each moment sweet like morning's gentle dew.
Now, the vocal chain is almost complete, however, we need to know that they recorded Frank Ocean in one of the best studios.
Studio B at the Boom Boom Room.
So, I've done something truly unique with this preset that you might like. Most of us record at home or in a less controlled environment, so I've added a limiter in case you like to maximize the volume. It comes in handy without having to gain stage through the plugins. I've also added a couple of more plugins with settings to emulate a wider range of Frank Ocean songs. And I created these macro knobs that let you easily tailor this vocal chain to your own vocals and add flavors from some of Frank Ocean's most iconic songs. I'll play the song now and show you the power of these settings, but if you like this vocal chain, the link is in the description. It's also part of the R&B vocal chain package, currently discounted, but not for long. Click the link in the description to get the deal. Now, let's hear what this vocal chain can do.
Every time I close my eyes, it's you. I'm dreaming of I wanted to come true. I feel my heart begin to race and do. No one else could make me feel the way that you do. When the night is quiet, I'm lost in thought, so drifting back to you. Each moment sweet like morning's gentle dew. Wishing that your body could feel this too. Can you feel like